I scored 330 out of 340 on the GRE exam. I scored 169 out of 170 in this section. Trust me when I tell you this, if you do this much, then 165 plus is very much achievable. Practice, practice, and practice. If you want to understand what the actual questions look like and what kind of concepts are tested, there is no better starting point than. But here's the catch: GRE can make a very simple concept look complicated. Many beginners often make this mistake. For additional practice, you can use the following resources. There are a few areas where I personally paid special attention to. I used to get wrong answers all the time. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So those of you who do not know me, I scored 330 out of 340 on the GRE exam. In this particular video, I will be talking about how you can prepare for the quantitative reasoning session. So to be very honest, I believe that this is one of the relatively easier sections of the GRE, especially if you have a decent mathematics background. This section will be a cakewalk for you. I scored 169 out of 170 in this section, and with right preparation, I think anyone can score 165 plus very easily, and even a perfect 170 out of 170 is also achievable. First thing I would recommend is to start with the official ETS material. I've spoken about that in all of my videos that I've made on GRE. Go through the quantitative reasoning section properly. Don't just skim through it, properly go through it, understand the logic behind all the question types. The best part about ETS material is that it covers all the major concepts, and in case you've forgotten, let me remind you that ETS is the organization that actually creates GRE. So if you want to understand what the actual questions look like and what kind of concepts are tested and how the questions are framed, there is no better starting point than the official ETS material. The official guide also provides you with practice tests that you should definitely give. Once you've gone through all the concepts, the next step is very simple: practice, practice, and practice. Do not underestimate this. The maths concepts in the GRE are not very difficult. If you are an Indian or an Asian, let's say, then you must have studied majority of these concepts in school itself. But here's the catch: GRE can make a very simple concept look complicated. The question might not be mathematically difficult, but the way it is created can be very tricky. Initially, what I used to do was, and I think many beginners often make this mistake, you see a question and you immediately start solving it without properly reading it. And that is overconfidence. Don't do that. Take a few seconds, understand the question completely, ask yourself what exactly are they asking me to find, and then solve accordingly. This is where practice becomes extremely important. You need to solve enough number of questions so that you start recognizing the pattern. You should reach a stage where you see a question and immediately understand what approach you need to take. For additional practice, you can use the following resources: Manhattan 5LB book, Princeton Review, Kaplan, but don't make this mistake of collecting 10 different books and not completing any of them. Quality of practice is a lot more important than the number of resources you have. And also, every time you get a question wrong, don't just look at the answer and move on. Understand why you got it wrong, what went wrong. What I would personally do was I would read the explanation and try to figure out what different approach I could have used. And then don't just stop there. Try to solve a similar question again. And as you get better at this, introduce time practice. Initially, you should only focus on the accuracy part, but once your accuracy is good enough, you should start putting yourself under time pressure. Because on the GRE exam, knowing how to solve a question is never enough. You should be able to think quickly and solve the question accurately. Now, there are a few areas where I personally paid special attention to. Number one is data interpretation. See, most of the data interpretation questions are very straightforward and extremely easy to solve, but some questions can be not difficult but quite lengthy. So make sure you're comfortable reading graphs, tables, and different types of data. Another topic I would definitely recommend reviewing is the quartiles and statistics. Make sure to go through these concepts particularly from the ETS material alone, and if you want to practice more, you can definitely refer to additional sources, because these are the kind of topics where understanding the concepts is a lot more important than memorizing them. And another thing I realized when I was writing mocks was that for the questions where multiple answers can be correct, do not stop after finding one correct option. Check every option properly. You need to make sure that you've identified all the correct options. See, overall, I would say that this particular section is not about knowing advanced mathematics. It's more about understanding the concepts, identifying the question type, and applying the right approach under time pressure. So keep on practicing until you reach a point where you are comfortable seeing unfamiliar questions. And don't get discouraged when you get questions wrong when you're preparing. I used to get wrong answers all the time, especially those questions where multiple right answers are there. I used to get them wrong a lot. That's actually part of the process. Here's the thing, like, every mistake is showing you an area that you need to improve. Make sure to go back to that topic, revise the concepts, and try to solve more such questions. And trust me when I tell you this, since I have been through this entire process, if you do this much, then 165 plus is very much achievable. And with strong accuracy and enough practice, you can definitely score a perfect 170 out of 170. This is my simple formula for the GRE Quant's preparation. Concepts, practice, analyze mistakes, timed practice, repeat. That's all. This is all that you need to do. That's it for this video. If you have any doubts with regard to this section, I'm more than happy to help because this is my strong section. If you find this video helpful in any way, then make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching it.